History suggests that Leif Erikson and the Vikings were the first Europeans to reach the North American continent around 1000 AD, and Christopher Columbus has long been credited with discovering America in 1492. The Vikings were quickly pushed out of North America by Native Americans, while Christopher Columbus and his men ended up colonizing the New World. But neither actually discovered America. People had long been living in North America for many millennia, and these people were made up of diverse cultures and lineages. Humans inhabiting Northeast Asia most likely migrated to North America between 16,000 to 40,000 years ago. You may not know it, but the distance between Alaska and Russia is only about 55 miles, and there are even a couple of islands in between. So early humans may have gone to North America by boat, or they may have crossed a land bridge over the Bering Strait while chasing game. Humans continued to migrate across North America, and before Europeans ever arrived, cultures had sprung up across the continent. Today, we tend to classify Native Americans by the region they lived in, or the language they spoke, but the diversity was far beyond even language or region. The individual cultures that once thrived are all but forgotten by history, even though many ancestors of Indian tribes still live in America today. Here are just a few examples of the thousands of Indian tribes that once dominated the North American landscape. In the Pacific Northwest lived the Spokane Indians, from which Spokane, Washington derives its name. They were known to be excellent salmon fishers and deer hunters. The Mayans had built massive pyramids. They developed a written language and produced a major civilization that was as great, if not greater, than any other city in the world at the time. They also developed a calendar, astronomy, the concept of the number 0, and more before they mysteriously left their cities within their empires. Almost 1,000 years later, the Aztecs followed in the Mayans' footsteps and developed their own civilizations, calendars, and number systems before they were wiped out by diseases brought by the Europeans. What I'm trying to say is that the Native Americans were not passive players in history. They withstood European dominance for as long as they could. The Onassis Indians of California are even referred to by the name Guapo, from the Spanish word guapo, meaning brave, because of their resistance against the Mexican army that attempted to conquer their people and their culture. Furthermore, Napa Valley, where these natives lived for thousands of years, most likely derives its name from their language. Across the US, in the southeast, Europeans eventually came to see the Cherokee, which translates to people of the mountains, as one of the most civilized tribes, mainly because many Cherokee were able to assimilate into European lifestyle, and they created their own written language, thanks to a silversmith named Sequoyah. Cherokee Indians often owned property and even slaves. Another tribe, the Powhatan Indians, was a confederacy of tens of thousands of Indians. The chief of this tribe would even have his children intermarry between tribes in order to build relationships, no different than royal families in Europe. He also had one of his daughters marry a colonist named John Rolfe from the colony of Virginia. You may be familiar with the story, since his daughter's name was Pocahontas. It was a political move, and not necessarily the love story that Disney made it out to be, but it was important nonetheless. All in all, I want you to remember that before you say that Christopher Columbus discovered America, there were already so many unique Native American tribes that populated the continent, and their history should not be forgotten.